What I'd like you to think about doing now is I'd like you to think about slightly leaning your upper body forwards, and I'd like you to think about trying to get your leg underneath you as far as possible and propelling yourself forward as far as you can. So this is something that does require a little bit of practice, but what we saw there was we started to shift the trunk angle, and we started to get Jackson's legs a little bit further underneath his body when he was doing that exercise. And what we're going to do, we'll ask Jackson to do that again in a second, and just try and again work on getting that nice forward trunk lean and getting your legs completely underneath your center of gravity as you complete that exercise. Okay. So using good cueing and good prompting can work to help the athlete be aware of what their body is doing when they're completing these running drills. And when we do this, it's always nice to ask the athlete how it actually feels for them to do it. We want to know if it feels like they are working too hard or if they're getting sore or anything like that. Whenever we introduce something new, there's always the chance that they fatigue at a rate that we're not anticipating. After we've looked at addressing overstriding, we now need to consider the backside mechanics. So backside mechanics are considered a risk factor where the trail leg goes into excessive hip extension or excessive knee flexion, increasing the amount of strain placed on the pelvis, which theoretically can increase the amount of strain placed on the hamstring muscle group of the lead leg. Again, there's a number of drills that we've already gone over that are useful for addressing backside mechanics. The ones that are particularly useful are your switch drills. So drills where the athlete is emphasizing rapid thigh exchange. So we're looking at rapid hip flexion, which is a primary cue that most sprinters would use to try and run faster. So number of switch drills. So you can do simple 1-2. So you might come over closer, Jackson. So the simple 1-2 switch drill, you can ask to prompt the athlete in a number of different ways. So you can ask them to focus on the hip extension, so the downwards action, or you can ask them to focus on the knee drive aspect. So trying to get the leg up as fast as possible. So I'll get you to really emphasize the hip flexion, so the knee drive component. So what you see when you change that prompt is that he starts to get higher degrees of hip flexion. So I'll get you to do that one more time for me. In contrast, if we ask Jackson to focus on the stomp aspect of it, you'll often see that it ends up being a lower exercise. So he doesn't get as much hip flexion on either leg if he emphasizes the stomping aspect of the drill. We can then lead to making that a little bit more complex and a little bit more interesting for the athlete. So another common drill is a 2-step switch, where the athlete will hop twice on one leg before swapping. And this is again a drill where we can ask the athlete to emphasize either the downwards motion or the upwards motion. If you try and work on backside mechanics, emphasizing the upwards motion, the hip flexion motion, can lead to the best changes in backside mechanics. So what I'll get Jackson to do is do one where he emphasizes the hip drive or knee drive, and do one version where he emphasizes the stomp into the ground. And what we can see there with that second one, it was very forceful into the ground, whereas the first version, we saw rapid hip flexion and rapid knee drive. Again, we probably want to focus on the knee drive if we're trying to change backside mechanics.